How would you describe the relationship between technology and the incoming Trump administration? Because a lot has changed over the last 4 years, especially with the rhetoric out of Silicon Valley, more pro-Trump, I think, now than it ever has been.
Yeah, I think you have to factor in two things. One, there's a lot of unhappiness in the tech industry with how the Biden administration has targeted tech and seen tech more as an industry to trash rather than an industry to champion. And so, frankly, I think there's a lot of frustration from people in Silicon Valley who are not necessarily Trump supporters or even right-leaning, but there's been a lot of frustration that the administration hasn't championed basically, U.S., the country's biggest export. So that's number one. Number two, everyone has the benefit of having learned from the first Trump term in terms of what worked and what didn't, in terms of how to deal with the president and work with him. I think a lot of tech CEOs look to Tim Cook for this as the CEO who probably managed the first Trump administration the best. And a lot of that, frankly, came down to direct contact between the CEO and Trump himself. As you said, that's not something that can be easily designated to a deputy. Trump really cares about meeting with the CEO. And in fact, that kind of meeting often works. It succeeds with him. So I think that's what a lot of companies are leading with.
Let's go to what Trump himself has said. Of course, this is a post on social media in late December. Big tech has run wild for years, stifling competition in our most innovative sector, and as we all know, using its market power to crack down on the rights of so many Americans, as well as those of little tech, which is not a phrase that I've heard before. But reading...
Maybe Truth Social is a little tech.
That's true. Maybe he's talking his book there. But reading between the lines, it seems like that would suggest that this antitrust pressure that has been on these big tech names is going to continue.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about that. The fact is, the Biden administration has been prosecuting antitrust cases against all of the big tech companies. Some of those started under Trump's first term. I don't expect any of that to go away, but I will say I don't think Trump particularly cares about antitrust as an issue. What I think he really cares about is, are these companies nice to him? And I think he views antitrust lawsuits as leverage. And so I don't think you'll see a lot of settlements, even though, there'll be sort of right-leaning people who may not agree with the substance of the suit. I think you will see the Trump administration enforcers keep these suits going because they are leverage over the companies over things like content moderation and speech. But I do think there's a real interesting question here, which is this little tech question you said, right? The Biden administration has had a chill over mergers and acquisitions, and that's been intentional. That's part of their approach to tech M&A. But little tech companies benefit when big tech companies are able to acquire them. In fact, many companies, startups, want the ability to be acquired as an exit path. And so this is going to be a real test for the Trump administration. Does little tech, do they or do they not want big tech to be free to acquire small companies again? I think that's going to be a big tension within their administration's antitrust enforcement.
Adam, very quickly, what has been your conversations with members of the incoming Trump administration thus far?
Well, it's been very interesting because I do think they have people who really do want to get it right on things like AI and crypto, people like David Sachs. They are talking to people in the administration. I think there's, frankly, a lot of optimism that on things like crypto, the Trump folks will reverse the hostility that the Biden administration has brought towards the crypto industry. I think there's a lot of optimism that things like the Biden executive order on artificial intelligence will be overturned. And there's a lot of optimism we can shift to a kind of a more of a mode of let's go beat China and other countries on technology.
Right.
But there's a lot of debates that are going to be kind of up for grabs. There's a big debate about H-1Bs right now, and where you have elements of the Republican coalition against each other. So we'll see how those unfold.